Okay. All right, President Jackson, we are live on our Facebook group.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Local 689. I'm glad you all were able to join. And if some of your colleagues wasn't able to make it, please share this information with them tomorrow or when you get back to your locations. We have had a lot of talks at the Union Hall over the last few months about autonomous vehicles and trains and buses being able to operate themselves. But before we get started, I just want to put everybody on point. I got an email from the authority today. It says, just wanted to give you a quick heads up that as part of the Presidential Executive Order Task Force, our MTPD officers will now get teamed up with federal law enforcement officers to help patrol metro facilities. So if you all see the federal police out there with metro police officers, I mean, it's good to have more presence, but again, we're not getting involved with what they're doing with all of that ICE stuff. Stay out the way. That's not our concern. And if you see them out there over abusing their power, please call somebody and let them know. So, getting back to why we're here, we got Mr. John Lyons on with us from the ATU International. And he's going to talk to you all, give you some updates on this autonomous vehicle stuff. Please share it with your friends again and your colleagues. John, I ain't want to mess your title up, so if you could just introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. Hey, everybody. And thanks, Ray. My name is John Lyons. I'm the Director of Collective Bargaining at ATU International. And Ray has asked me to come on and talk a little bit today about the emerging technology when it comes to autonomous vehicles and artificial intelligence and things like that. And, I want to start off by saying that, at the International President Costa has been on top of this topic for quite some time. And over the last couple of years, we've been doing a lot of research, a lot of investigating, and a lot of talking to transit agencies all over the US, Canada, and frankly, all over the world, because this technology is emerging everywhere. And it's more prevalent in some places than it is in others. And throughout this presentation tonight, I'm going to show you some examples of the type of technology that's out there and the type of technology that is being marketed to our transit agencies on a pretty regular basis. Um, as a solution to a lot of the issues that the transit industry is facing. So with that being said, let's get this started, right? So we're going to be talking about autonomous vehicle technology, and we're going to talk about the state of the industry and why we're looking at this. We'll talk a little bit about how do we bargain around these things, because these issues are going to have a significant impact on our working conditions and therefore are a mandatory subject of bargaining. So we need to be bargaining over this, and we need to develop strategies to bargain over these issues. This is a new set of issues. And if somebody would have told us 10 years ago that we would be at the doorstep of autonomous vehicles now, I'm sure a lot of you would have thought, well, this is crazy. And I'm sure a lot of you think that this is crazy talk right now, but I'm here to tell you that that is absolutely not the case. This technology is coming. It's coming faster than you think it is. And we need to not only think about the technology that's here now, but we have to be more proactive and think about what would otherwise have been unthinkable yesterday, because that's how fast this technology is moving and that's how fast this technology is changing. So why are we facing this, right? A lot of this are lingering effects of the COVID pandemic. A lot of people have left our industry because of the COVID pandemic. And I don't think I need to tell anybody on this presentation tonight that there is a workforce shortage. There's an operator shortage, and they're having trouble getting people in the door, and they're having trouble keeping people in the door as well, right? So there's this big revolving door, and we have all of these new employees and new members coming in, and it's not the same job that it was 10 or 20 years ago, where people came here and took this job for life. The times are changing, the workforce is changing. Um, and it's creating these vacancies in our industry, along with low ridership, right? The ridership has gone down, and agencies are looking for ways to supplement or to streamline and slim down the services that they are providing, because they're saying that due to the low ridership, it's not economically feasible to run the system the way it is. And a lot of agencies are now facing fiscal cliffs. During COVID, everybody was getting fat. The government was throwing tons of money at transit, and that all of that COVID money has dried up. And now people are looking for ways to plug their budgets and to continue to be able to provide service. And because of that, there's a lot of funding and grants available for microtransit, uh, testing of autonomous vehicles, a lot of pilot programs to test this type of technology. And agencies are turning to this technology to plug those gaps. And they're turning to that free money that does not require matching funds that other federal transit grants require to put this service out. So this is a zero cost option for them, right? You also have a lot of corporate lobbying. These companies are out there and they are lobbying Congress and state legislatures like crazy to introduce this new technology. They have a lot of disposable income. And we're talking about companies like Google. We're talking about Amazon. These are two big players with bottomless pockets that are infiltrating the industry. And they're doing it through this technological innovation that they're calling it, that they're saying is the future of public transit. And in a lot of instances, they are making the case that this technology is there and it will address the operator shortage, because an autonomous vehicle doesn't need an operator, right? It'll adjust the service because they can operate autonomous vehicles differently. And it'll provide better service. And they're saying they can do it for cheaper. Now, look, we all know that buses cost the same no matter where you get them, and fluids and fuel parts cost the same no matter where you get them. The only flexible cost that exists in transit is us. It's the workforce. It's our wages and our benefits. And if they don't have to pay an operator wages and they don't have to pay an operator benefits, all of that money is being saved. And operating expenses and our salaries and benefits in particular are the largest piece of operating expenses that there are, right? Labor is the most expensive component of operating expenses. So with all of this in mind, you have these companies that are out there enticing agencies with this type of technology, and it's starting to sound pretty good to them, because it's relieving them of this economic burden that happens to be the workforce, right? Or potentially, that's how it's being sold. So let's talk about the automated technology a little bit, and how is the tech changing our work, right? New technologies like artificial intelligence are already affecting vast portions of the economy. We've seen it in medicine, we've seen it in education, we've seen it in the media. You remember that SAG-AFTRA, they went on, and the Writers Guild went on strike over artificial intelligence and the ability to take actors and use their image without them ever having performed the role, and to have Chat GPT write scripts for movies and TV shows, right? And they went on strike for this. So this was like the first blow that against artificial intelligence with that SAG-AFTRA strike, and that kind of brought all of this technology to the forefront, right? And it recognized it as a significant threat. So surveillance, it's already been used in surveillance. We already have cameras on the buses. The cameras on the buses now, they have the ability to make decisions about you and your working conditions, including hiring, firing, discipline, and promotion. The technology has the ability to do all of this. The technology that they have, they claim, has the ability to tell whether or not a bus operator is tired, whether or not a bus operator is distracted, whether or not you're on the phone. So all of these, whether or not you have a potential for violence, they're out there testing this technology and deploying it in a lot of places. While it hasn't reached Maybe it hasn't reached the DC area yet. It hasn't reached bigger metropolitan areas like New York City and maybe Chicago. It is out there. Companies are deploying this technology and they are testing it, and they are testing it on our members, and they are collecting this data, and they are using this data to build a database to enhance their technology, right? And the automation in and of itself, the use of technology to augment or replace human labor, bus operator shortage, or the employee shortage in general is a prime example. There are profound consequences with this for jobs, wages, working conditions, race and gender equity, and worker power, right? So we need to be getting out in front of this. The first thing that we need to do is we need to, I'm sorry, we need we need to realize that this is an issue and we need to get out in front of it, right? So let me move on to the next one. So these jobs will fall first as AI takes over the workplace, right? Estimates vary, but experts converge on transformative window of 10 to 30 years for AI to reshape most jobs. They're actually suggesting that that could happen even sooner. And that by 2030, 30% of current US jobs could be automated. 30% of all of the jobs that are out there in the US right now could be automated, with 60% significantly altered by AI tools. Imagine going to the doctor and instead of dealing with a doctor, you're dealing with the computer that's going to scan your body, and that computer is going to tell you what's wrong with you. Or imagine a machine making a decision related to your healthcare, or making a decision related to your child's education, that your kids are not going to get that interpersonal experience with teachers. Instead, they're going to be taught by robots and artificial intelligence, right? And they're saying that by 2045, which is a mere 20 years away, 50% of all jobs could be fully automated by artificial intelligence and robotics. That's a really, really scary thought, right? And the CEOs start saying the quiet part out loud. AI will wipe out jobs. They're admitting it. In interviews, they are admitting it that innovation is going to eliminate jobs. So if we are not out in front of this and being the voice of labor when it comes to the introduction of this technology, we're going to be on the losing end of this battle. And AI robots are being rolled out to make operations as lean and efficient as possible. A robot doesn't think for itself. A robot doesn't, does what it's told. So these are all things that we need to be considering. New technology already exists in transit they have the ability to do this in scheduling and routing, right? If Hastis and other software that do the scheduling, they already make automated decisions without setting foot on the road, right? They take a look at schedules, they take a look at ridership, they pump all of this information into a computer, and they pump out schedules without anybody sitting behind the wheel or taking a seat on a bus to actually take a look and see what's going on. And the technology is making the guesses for all of this. The surveillance, right? They know where your bus is. They know what you're doing on the bus, your face, your emotions, your gait recognition. This is what I was talking about a little bit earlier. Now, there are advanced driver assistance systems. Now, these are things that you might have in your personal vehicle right now, whether it be, cruise control or lane assist, adaptive cruise control, braking control, acceleration control, and things like that. These are things that are existing in our personal vehicles right now, and they are not necessarily existing in transit vehicles at the moment, but they are trying to put this technology into transit vehicles as well. And one of the big concerns that we have at the ATU about this technology is whether or not it's going to be used for discipline. So as an example, if the vehicle has the technology to be able to sense an imminent impact and engages the brake, if that triggers something back at the command center that says this technology was engaged, it's going to suggest that the operator wasn't paying attention to what was going on, and that could potentially result in discipline for us, right? So as this technology is being introduced and as they are trying to build it into the new equipment, we are getting out in front of this to make sure that our jobs are protected and that our members are protected and that we are not being falsely accused of not doing our jobs, because nobody would take your driver's license away from you and your vehicle if that crash detection engaged itself, right? But in our industry, they'll discipline you for anything. So we're trying to stay out in front of that as well, right? And then the automated driving system that substitutes the computer driver for a human driver. We see this in some Teslas and some Hyundais that are out there right now. I know that the Lincoln Navigators have this technology too, where you could just get behind the wheel of the car and the car knows where to go, right? And you can read a newspaper or you can watch a movie and the car is going to take care of all of this. So the technology already exists in a smaller scale. And what we're going to show you a little bit later is how this technology now exists on a much bigger scale, right? So innovating mobility and building a driverless future. That's what this is all about. This is about eliminating the driver, about taking the driver out of the vehicle and having the vehicle drive itself, right? And their version of the future is having people sit in this vehicle, right, with no human operator, vehicles monitored remotely, if at all, right? So they have somebody sitting at a desk in a remote location monitoring that vehicle, right? Buses staffed with customer service reps. They've even suggested social workers and nurses to replace bus operators uh, in some instances, if they even want to put a body on the vehicle at all, right? And the workforce development for the next generation of engineers and technologies, right? It's they're focusing on the development for the next generation of engineers and not necessarily retraining or upskilling the current workers, right? So what we want to do is we want to make sure that the people who are performing these jobs today get the proper training, education, and upskilling to be able to transition into these new jobs tomorrow, because these jobs are coming. And if we don't adapt with the technology, we are going to be left behind, right? So imagine, you're responsible for your bus, you're responsible for the people that are on it, and you are responsible for everything that's going on around your vehicle. Now imagine taking that job that we already know is overwhelming as a physical operator, and then giving that job to one person to monitor 3, 5, 7, or 10 vehicles at one time. So you have one person potentially doing the job of 10 of us. That's what they're suggesting. And to add insult to injury, the way that they figure that they're going to recruit and train these people, and this is true stuff. This is what they are out there promoting, is that they are looking at gamers, right? So this is a slide from an actual presentation that we saw at an autonomous vehicle conference out in California 2 years ago, where this company, Plum Mobility Labs, they are out there taking a look at kids with with headsets on, with VR headsets on, and using that technology to teach people how to do these jobs and how to operate more than one vehicle at a time. It's hard enough for us to operate one vehicle at a time on our own. Imagine being the individual that's got to monitor 10. And there are all different types of autonomous vehicles that are out there, from small scale to big scale, and they can all do different kinds of things, right? Transit buses, they already have them at 20 to 40 feet for fixed bus routes. Vans are the more prevalent ones. We see them minivans or light commercial vehicles that are doing fixed route or paratransit. And I have a couple of examples of that I'm going to show you in a little bit. Low speed shuttles and low capacity vehicles for first mile, last mile trips. That's where you see this Omeo here. That's one of those vehicles. And I'll show you one of those in a little bit as well. And then finally, we have robo taxis. Now, this is where the technology is really, really scary. These robo taxis know what they're doing. They operate very, very well in very, very crowded and congested areas. They navigate traffic very, very well. And we have some video of a ride that we took in one of these autonomous taxis that I'm going to show you in a little bit, right? So in 2024 was the year that robo taxis proved they are here to stay. California has given the green light to Waymo to expand their robotaxi operations. They are all over the place in San Francisco, California. And you guys might have seen them driving around in DC right now because they're testing in DC. Autonomous vehicles are currently testing in Washington, D.C. They're not carrying passengers yet, but they're out there learning the terrain. They're learning the road. They're learning people's driving habits and driving conditions. And they are collecting all of this data and they are using it to build your technology, build their technology. And there are companies like Lyft who are out there who are looking to cut deals with technology like Waymo to use this technology as early as in 2026, right? The Waymo technology is the scariest technology by far because it is out there, it is working, and it is working well, really, really well, right? And that technology is what they're using is what they're building on to put into buses and public transit, right? So the Washington Post wrote an article that said the robotaxi is here whether you want it or not. This is the future no matter how many jobs it vaporizes or human interactions we lose. We all know what Uber and Lyft did to the taxi industry, right? It destroyed the taxi industry. Now, these autonomous vehicles are going to come in and they are going to start to destroy not just the taxi industry, but the operator profession in general. They are going to take our jobs and they are going to give our jobs to vehicles that can drive themselves. This is a very, very serious reality that we are facing. So some of the big players in the game, I mentioned Waymo. Waymo is Google. Waymo has Google money. Google has mapped the world. Everybody here has used Google Maps at one point or another. So Google and Waymo already have the schematics for every single neighborhood in every single city, in every single state in this country. They know the roads. So they don't have to map anything out. They already have it. They've been doing it for a long time. Now they can take their autonomous technology, use the mapping technology that they have already developed, and put those autonomous vehicles out there to learn the one thing that they can't learn from a map, and that's people's driving habits. And people's driving habits are different from city to city. I'm from New York City, and people in New York City drive different than people in Annapolis, Maryland do, or in Washington, D.C. do, or in San Francisco, California, or anything else. So the technology is those Waymo vehicles that you may see out there right now are learning how people drive. They are learning about the conditions that they are going to be facing on the streets that they already have memorized to be able to perform their service, right? Waymo is already operating publicly in Atlanta, Los Angeles County, Phoenix, Arizona, San Francisco, and San Mateo counties in California. And they are doing preliminary work in Boston, Dallas, Houston, Las Vegas, Miami, Nashville, New Orleans, Orlando, San Antonio, San Diego, Washington, D.C., and New York. They are out there. Their vehicles are out there. They're being tested. They are learning how we drive, right? Waymo has raised 11 billion with a B, $11 billion of outside funding. They have plenty of money. And Google's division that they call Other Bets has an operating loss of $4.4 billion in 2024, which says they are willing to lose money to build this technology. They have money to burn, and they are burning it for the sole purpose of getting this technology out on the road. Waymo does 250,000 trips per week, 250,000 with 10 million total trips to date. That's a staggering number. Over 71 million miles traveled. A vehicle with no driver has traveled over 71 million miles on our roads already. And they have a fleet of 1,500 vehicles that's going to increase to 3,500 vehicles through 2026. They got plenty of money and they have the technology and they're putting it out there. right? Let's see. This is a video, I think. This is a video of our Waymo ride. I want you to take a look at this. So we rode in that vehicle for an hour and a half through the streets of San Francisco. For the first 3 minutes, it was creepy. After that, it was like taking a ride in any other cab. Now, admittedly, the vehicle did a couple of sketchy things, stuff that maybe we would have gotten written up for as bus operators going through that yellow light or not necessarily yielding the right of way. But these are behaviors that we do. So the vehicle it operates more like a human than you think than one would think. It was not an uncomfortable feeling to be in this vehicle. And like I said, we were in it for an hour and a half. We took it all over San Francisco just to see what the technology was like. Let's see. Oh, hold on. Let me try. Okay. So the next one we want to talk about is May Mobility. May Mobility is different than Waymo. May Mobility is a taxi service. May Mobility is microtransit, right? May Mobility is microtransit. May Mobility is paratransit. May Mobility is the first that is infiltrating our industry, right? Where Google has its own money and they are burning their own money, May Mobility only works with government contracts. So they are taking all of that government money and that grant money that the government is putting out there for this technology, and they are eating it up. And they are going out there and they are providing services and they are testing uh, and running pilot programs on this technology all over. I actually had the opportunity 2 weeks ago to go out to California and train as a autonomous vehicle operator because May Mobility has operators inside the vehicle. Um, And I'll share that experience with you in a little bit. But I also took a ride in one, and I have a video of that too that I'll show you later, just so you can see, the type of technology that we're dealing with, right? And May Mobility is teaming up in a lot of places with VIA. And VIA is a name that should be familiar to you because VIA is somebody that's trying to infiltrate our industry in microtransit. Via's platform is being used to schedule and dispatch paratransit all over the country. And Via has, in 2022, purchased Remix. And Remix is a fixed route scheduling software. Via is currently trying to work its way in to our industry in Big Bus. We already have one collective bargaining agreement with Via in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where they took over the entire transit system. The city of Sioux Falls, South Dakota turned over their transit system to Via, and we had to negotiate a contract with them, right? We're also dealing with a situation right now in Fort Wayne, Indiana, where the city of Fort Wayne is looking to turn over its paratransit and access operation to Via as well. And Via is going to come in, and they're going to take over the paratransit system in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Via is doing this in a lot of other locations as well. To the best of my knowledge, we are the only union that has a contract with Via at this point. To the best of my knowledge, they're a very small player in the game. When it comes to the industry itself, they don't understand the industry the way that we do. But they really are trying to get their foot in the door. And they're another one that's got a pocket full of money, and they are willing to spend money and in some instances subsidize the service in order to be able to get their foot in the door and make a bigger name for themselves. They're coming with a lot of disposable cash to do this, right? So Lyft is also going to partner with May Mobility when it launches its first driverless trips. This is so Lyft is going to be doing this as well, right? And they're going to be putting completely driverless vehicles out there. So May Mobility operates vehicles that are completely autonomous, and they also have autonomous vehicle operators that are more like a safety operator, which is the training that I took. And again, I'll explain that in just a little bit, right? But there are other names to watch out there, and some of them are big, and some of them are giving us a great cause for concern. A DASTech automation enables original equipment manufacturers to develop automated buses. A DASTech, they were the first ones to automate a big bus, and they have been testing this technology in Europe. They already have a 30-foot automated EV, and they're piloting this in Buffalo Niagara Medical Campus and Michigan State University. So at both of those locations, there are full-size autonomous buses that are picking people up, right? Perrone Robotics, what they claim is their technology, with their technology, they can retrofit your existing equipment to be autonomous. And the individual from Perrone Robotics stood up at an autonomous vehicle conference and said that the cost of our technology to automate your bus is about $50,000 a vehicle. That's less than a bus operator's salary. Why pay a bus operator annually when you can pay $50,000 once and have that bus operated forever? And that's how they're marketing themselves to transit agencies. And people are buying into it, and they are eating it up. Perrone Robotics has pilot programs running all over the place. Beep, Omeo, and Holon, that's the little vehicle that you see down there in the left-hand corner. These are the slow-speed electric and AV shuttles. We have some operators out in California that operate these as well, and I'm going to show you a video on that in a little while as well. And then Glideways. Glideways operates small vehicles on a dedicated glideway. Now, what that means is, and what Glideways is claiming is that they are better than bus, and it's cheaper than building a subway because they can build the dedicated guideway above ground. The vehicles can operate on a 1 minute headway, carrying 6 passengers, and drop people off exactly where they want to go. You walk up to wherever it is you want to catch this glideway. It's at a particular stop. You tell it where it wants to go, and then the vehicle will come and pick you up. And if there are other people that are in that vehicle, it'll take you with them. So there's a whole industry that's dedicated to this, and that's the Autonomous Vehicle Industry Association, right? And they've hired, they were state and federal lobbyists for the autonomous vehicle industry. They are opposed to all human observer legislation. A lot of states and localities have legislation in place or regulations in place that require an operator in the vehicle, and they are actively lobbying to get that legislation removed, overturned, or in places where the legislation does not exist, prevented from happening, right? They are deeply engaged and tracking what they call harmful federal legislation efforts regarding public transport prohibition. They believe that this legislation that is being enacted that prevents vehicles from operating without somebody in the vehicle is harmful to the transit industry. They are selling this nonsense and people are buying it up. And here are some of the members. And these are names that you might know: FedEx, Ford, Lyft, right? We see Waymo down here, UPS, Uber. And this one, Zoox, on the right-hand side in the bottom. Zoox is Amazon. Amazon is playing a big role in this as well. So, these are the members of this autonomous vehicle industry alliance or association. They are the ones who are funding this. They are the ones who are out there lobbying for this, for these autonomous vehicles and for the removal of operators from those vehicles. And they also have some partners that they're working with, right? And some of these partners are ours. Mothers Against Drunk Driving, right? United Spinal Association, Safer Roads, Blended Veterans Association, people that we used to go to advocate on behalf of public transit. The autonomous technology is now going to and saying, we are your answer. So they're going to our allies to get assistance. On federal policy, which best captures the settlement, 81.25% are optimistic that the new political leadership in Washington will make helpful changes to AV policy. 81.25% of the people who are currently involved in this technology believe that they are going to be able to get it done with the current political leadership and the current political climate. So this is what we're up against, right? And then there's the Automated Bus Consortium, which is another group that is out there advocating for autonomy. And let's take a look at who's part of that, right? MDOT, Michigan Department of Transportation, MetroLink, New Jersey Transit, RATP Dev, somebody that 689 had a contract with, MARTA down in Atlanta, DART in Dallas, Texas, Detroit. All of these transit agencies are out there advocating for this as well, right? So these are the people who are buying into the nonsense that the tech companies are selling. And then there's the ACES Mobility Coalition, and the people who are involved in the ACES Mobility Coalition. They're agencies like Lynx, companies like Adas Tech, Beep, EV Solutions, Bentletter, May Mobility, all of these companies that are Contra Costa Transportation Authority. So it's a whole mix of people who are out there supporting this type of technology. Florida has a statewide AV procurement. The city of Jacksonville, Florida is all over this, and they are running autonomous programs like crazy down in Jacksonville. They are working with companies like Adastec, who I told you was operating those big buses. Beep was operating those little toaster looking shuttles that we talked about, and Maine Mobility. They are working, they have active pilots working with these companies right now, testing these stuff on the streets of Jacksonville and actually in revenue service on the streets of Jacksonville. And agencies throughout the state can piggyback on these contracts. So if an agency, if this is happening in Jacksonville and there's an agency in Fort Lauderdale or the agency in Orlando likes what they see, they can jump on board and become a part of this, right? So this could spread throughout the state of Florida very, very easily. And so there's the Strategic Transit Automation Research Plan 2.0 by the FTA, right? And this plan, they're talking about what is the current state of transit bus automation demonstrations, right? Transit agencies' core expertise is in transit planning and operations, not research, design, or evaluation, right? Working with an emerging technology adds significant complexity. Many vendors active in this space are startups, demonstrating that they have been delayed by staff turnover at vendors, at companies changing strategic direction or going out of business. So a lot of the technology, a lot of the people who are coming in and selling this technology to agencies are quickly coming in and going out of business. But there are others like the May Mobilities and the Adastechs and the Waymos that keep pushing on and keep advancing their technology, right? So they're getting better and better and better. Sharing operational and system data can be a sensitive issue, and private sector and companies often have a strong business interest in keeping certain information confidential, right? Now, what does that mean to us? This applies on the maintenance side. Who is going to maintain these vehicles? These vehicles aren't like the vehicles that we currently maintain. They are not internal combustion engines a lot of times, diesel buses. They're electric. They operate on software. The software is proprietary. The technology is proprietary. And they do not want to turn over access to this technology to give us the ability to work on this equipment. They want to keep this for themselves, and they will hire the people who fix this equipment instead of using people in our industry today, right now, instead of retraining those people and maintaining good transit jobs. They want to privatize those jobs, take them under their own umbrella, and control everything, right? So this isn't just about transportation. This is about maintenance as well, right? And this is a timeline from 2024 to 28. It talks about all the different types of studies and market assessments that are going on. It's just, this stuff is very, very busy. There are a lot of demos going on out there. There are places where this technology is actually in service. Bus operator human factors and training needs addresses human factors associated with bus operators, use of ADAS on transit buses. Transit labor impacts assessment evaluation includes perspective on organized labor, legislative and regulatory provisions, and including driving and non-driving tasks of operators and maintenance. And folks, guys, the ATU is the only union in the building when it comes to these conferences. We are the only union that is in the building, getting out in front of this, getting out there and being vocal about preserving the integrity of our job, the jobs in our industry, making sure that we are part of the discussion instead of looking at this from the outside, and strongly advocating for the upskilling and the workforce development to have our members be trained and ready to take the jobs of the future. But with all of that being said, we're dealing with changes to FTA requirements that they need to do. We're talking about the driver, the requirements for people to be in the vehicle, updated business cases for ADAS technology, automated transit labor impacts and assessment, maintenance, yard operations, phase 1 and 2, yard operations. They want to eliminate hostlers and have these buses fuel and park themselves, right? Automated ADA paratransit service demonstrations, they're going on out there right now. Transferable automated on-demand microtransit demonstrations are going on out there right now. Transit bus automation and technical assistance, it's all going on, right? And Trump is reportedly planning to relax rules for self-driving cars. Right now, the rules are not as strict as we would like them to be, but they are stricter than they could be, and all signs are pointing to that the Trump administration is looking to relax those rules even more. And Doge employee cuts fall heavily on the agency that regulates Tesla. So the people who are educated and skilled in this technology are the ones who are being cut by the federal government. So they want to relax the restrictions on the technology and eliminate the jobs of the people who are there to oversee the technology. This makes absolutely zero sense. And this is the Sean Duffy, the Department of Transportation Secretary. He says this is not just a wonderful technology that has a potential of making our roads safer, but this is a national security issue. We can't fall behind China or other countries when it comes to AV technology. Right now, we have a patchwork of laws from state to state, and I believe there has to be a federal law by which all of these innovations abide by. And I will always make sure safety is key. But after safety, we want to give a wide runway for these companies. In other words, we want to be able to let these companies do what they want to out there to be able to provide this technology and to be able to provide the operator technology that could mean our jobs. And even the auto industry is behind it, right? The tech industry urged Trump to speed self-driving car deployment. They want it out there. They want that technology out there now. The National Highway Traffic Safety Agency seeks to fast-track AV deployment. The government agencies are against us. Everybody is out there pushing this, right? The weakened the standing general order that requires reporting for accidents. There used to be a really, really strict accident reporting on these autonomous vehicles, and NHTSA weakened that standard. So they don't have to report those things anymore, right? And they're expanding exemptions for non-commercial use, research and testing to cover domestically built vehicles. So they're lifting the restrictions to test this. And they're streamlining exemptions that allow commercial sales of up to 2,500 non-compliant vehicles per year. So the government is out there promoting this as well. Let's take a look at another video.
When I imagine what hell looks like, I imagine an endless traffic jam, loud, busy, smoggy, and we're all stuck in our cars, sweaty and annoyed. Sounds familiar? Just imagine what we'll be in 20 or 30 years' time. Unless we find a solution, something innovative and futuristic, like public transportation.
אחד החסמים היום שמפריעים לשפר את התחבורה הציבורית ולהוסיף עוד קווים ועוד תדירות, זה הנושא של מחסור במה שאנחנו צריכים לעשות, זה בעצם לקדם תחבורה אוטונומית ציבורית.
ואנחנו מזהים אותו ומזהים שזה הולך רגל, ומזהים את כיוון ההליכה, ומזהים את מהירות ההליכה שלו, ומתאימים לפי כך את מהירות הנסיעה של המשימה היא זה לנהוג יותר טוב מנהג אנושי. נהג אוטונומי הוא לא מוסך, והוא לא עייף, והוא לא רעב, והנוסעים לא מעצבנים אותו.
מתי אני אוכל פשוט לצאת מהבית, לחכות בתחנת אוטובוס, ויגיע אוטובוס לאסוף אותי בלי נהג? זה 20 שנה? זה עשור? מה?
לא, זה משהו כמו שנה. ב-2024 זה כבר יקרה.
Eventually, if autonomous buses allow us to give up our private cars, they will turn transportation hell into paradise. Not only less accidents and traffic, but less pollution and noise as well. Even real estate prices will go down once it will be easier to come into the big cities from the suburbs. All that will be left for us to do is relax in the back seat and watch videos on our mobile phones while an invisible driver takes us from one place to another without touching the steering wheel or the pedals.
So that company Imagery, we met them at the Consumer Electronics Show in January, out in Las Vegas, where they're out there selling their technology. And we were talking to them, and I don't think they realized who they were talking to because they were making the same points. You saw what they said in that video. Autonomous drivers don't get tired. Autonomous drivers don't get hungry. Autonomous passengers don't get on, autonomous drivers' nerves. They're blaming us. They're saying we get hungry, we get tired, passengers get on our nerves, and we're the reason it's a nightmare. We're the reason why transit doesn't work. But this technology is going to make it work better. They're out there selling this every single day, and people are buying it up. And you saw even in the interview and in some of the discussions we had a little bit earlier about the timeline for this. They're ready for this now, 2025. They are out there and they have deployed this technology. So deployments in ATU service areas, because we already have autonomous technology happening in ATU service areas. The city of Detroit has their accessibility microtransit service that started in June 2024, and that's with May Mobility. The city of Detroit, Michigan, Connect, they have an autonomous vehicle shuttle that's part funded by Ford. And that started in August of 2024. And that's a Perrone Robotics. Remember, that's the guy who said that you can buy our technology for $50,000 and eliminate the bus operator, right? Contra Costa County, California, the Rossmore Senior Community Shuttle, that started in August 2024. That's Beep. And the city of Peachtree Corners, Georgia, autonomous vehicle circulation, September of 2024. That's May Mobility with no safety operator, right? The May Mobility Accessibility in Detroit does have a safety operator. They are not ATU members. I don't think they're unionized at all. None of these are unionized, as a matter of fact. But the one in Peachtree, the May Mobility does it with safety operators. This one, they're experimenting without safety operators, right? Youngstown, PA, there's an ABI shuttle. It started in September 2024. Again, this is a retrofitted project. In Austin, Texas, automated bus yard demonstration of May in this year. They had the buses parking themselves and showing how the buses could go through the pump house and go through the wash rack and park themselves, eliminating the necessity for hostile jobs, right? Jacksonville, Florida, the Bay Street Corridor in July of 2025. This just went live. This just went live. And the ATU, we just had a meeting with JTA this week over this issue because the argument is that this work is operating on routes where we have bus service, so the safety operator in those vehicles work should belong to us. And the JTA is arguing that work does not belong to us because it's a different type of work, right? So we are currently in discussions with the JTA regarding that project. And in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, Southwest Transitway, they're doing A/B testing. They announced that it's in planning. So it's coming, right? We do, however, have autonomous vehicle operators, and we have them out in Contra Costa County, California, in the city of Martinez, where the county introduced this service called Presto. And the people that you see there are members of local ATU 1605, and they are the first union represented autonomous vehicle operators in the country, right? They operate the service in Contra Costa County. They are employees of TransDev, and TransDev operates the service in conjunction with May Mobility. So May Mobility is the one that's providing the vehicle and the technology. And this is the vehicle that I had an opportunity to learn how, that I went out and learned how to drive 2 weeks ago. So this service launched in 2024 with May Mobility, 1605 are the service operators, and the ATU is working with Carnegie Mellon University to conduct an operator's diary study to learn what the job is like on a day-to-day basis. And like I said, I had the opportunity to go out and learn how to be an operator on one of these vehicles. I took a week-long class, both classroom and driving. But here's a video of, this isn't me driving, but this is me taking a video of somebody from May Mobility driving.
should we expect interventions or it's gonna do the job itself?
There is gonna be a manual interventions at the hospital because we have a partnership with the hospital and we made we agreed to take over there specifically for the entire hospital because there is the ambulance going in and out and but usually we don't take over for the most part. That's the only area where we are going to be.
So the vehicle is driving right now.
Yeah, the vehicle is in autonomy. So here, that's where we take over.
So you've taken over.
Yeah, you should do okay.
Is that for safety reasons that you've taken over?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, mainly. It's just that there is a lot going on at the hospital. Usually, maybe not as of right now, but you know, there can be ambulance, there can be a lot going on. So we just decided specifically for this hospital, which is one of our partners, we just decided to have a completely manual.
So it was a decision and not a requirement then, right?
Yeah, it
Okay.
was a decision. Not a requirement.
So that's May Mobility, and that's the service. That's the vehicle that I got an opportunity to go out and drive. And just to give you a bit of insight as to what that was like. So you're sitting, imagine you're sitting in the driver's seat, but in a May Mobility vehicle, you can't touch the steering wheel. What's expected of you is to have your hands hovering over the steering wheel at all times to be ready to take over in the case of emergency. What's also expected of you is to have your foot hovering over either the accelerator or the brake in anticipation of what the vehicle is going to do, and to be able to take over in a moment's notice, to be able to take the vehicle out of and put it back into autonomy. So now imagine driving, just holding your arms out, hovering over a steering wheel, and that's your job, trying to anticipate what an autonomous vehicle is going to do. And then to switch it in and out of autonomy, you have to push a button. They want you to wear a headset so that you are in communication with the base at all times. And they want you to engage the passenger at all times. They want you to carry on a conversation with this person. So, I mean, as bus drivers, if we're carrying on a conversation with somebody, we're being accused of being distracted, right? This is quite the opposite of what this technology is doing, right? And they want you to be able to anticipate what this vehicle is going to do. Now, I know I was a bus driver for over 20 years in New York City, and I know as a bus driver what I was going to do. I knew how I was going to react, what was happening in front of me, and what my reaction was going to be. But as an autonomous vehicle operator, I am tasked with the extra burden of trying to anticipate what this technology is going to do. And if the technology fails to do what it's supposed to do properly, to be able to take over at a moment's notice, right? So, but yet they still want me to engage the passenger, and they still want me to do all of these things. Now, the autonomous vehicle operators out in California, they get a differential for operating those vehicles because it does come with more responsibility. But that's not the hard and fast rule. And if these are the types of jobs that we are going to be transitioning into, we need to make sure that we are negotiating properly into the future to make sure that we get paid what is appropriate for these types of jobs. Don't give us more responsibility and pay us less, or don't value our job any less. We already know that they make the distinction, that agencies and companies make the distinction between a CDL operator and a non-CDL operator, and they say that the two licenses aren't worth the same because the CDL is worth more and the non-CDL is not. And we could argue that that's absolutely not the case. There are even Keolis is trying to argue that somebody that drives a 30-foot bus shouldn't be paid as much as somebody that drives a 40-foot bus, right? Because the bus is bigger, but they have to have the same license. So all of those nonsense arguments that are being made by the employer, imagine the argument that they would make if you don't have to have that license altogether, right? If they already devalue the difference between a CDL and a non-CDL, If I'm not performing a driving task and I'm just an attendant in the vehicle, are you going to reduce my pay even more? So we need to make sure that we are out there fighting and advocating. And that's what we've been doing in every single location where we get the opportunity to get out in front of this, is to go out there and make sure that our members' voices are heard and that the industry is paying attention, the agencies are watching, and these tech companies know that we are following them everywhere they go and are not going to sit quietly by while they sit here and come and try and destroy our jobs, right? So this is the city of Riverside, California. This is one of those little toaster vehicles operated by Omeo, local 1277. Represents the people at this location. This happened right after the launch of the Presto service. So these people are new autonomous vehicle operators, very, very recent. And here's a little video of this individual's responsibilities.
Omeo's autonomous bus. I'm going to show you an overtake feature right now. This is a safety operator, Gabby. We work for Riverside Transit Agency. See, on our track right now are these two vehicles. She presses overtake and it comes out 3 feet away from the vehicles. If those vehicles are on our track, the bus will automatically stop. And no, we cleared it. And the second one here. Now she's going to press return. And it goes back into the place where it's supposed to be on the track. In the state of California, this bus can only go 15 miles an hour. It's made to go 25. In the state of California, we also have to be seated with seat belts on, and there has to be a safety operator at all times. If a delivery van or truck is on our track and they won't move, or we can't get around it with the overtake feature, the safety operator will use that joystick right there, go into manual and steer around it, get in front of it, back onto the track, press auto, and we're good to go. Follows that pre-programmed track right here on the screen. The blue is the bus, the white is the cushion of anything that gets in front of us where this bus will stop. The green is the danger zone. The yellow was a car that just went through the danger zone. This bus will not move unless that green is completely out of danger.
So interesting, right? The safety operator that's on there, if they have to take over control of that vehicle, they have to do it with a joystick. There's not even a steering wheel on that bus. It's like playing a video game, right? They have to steer that vehicle with a joystick. And the one thing that I found interesting about that video is that the person who was speaking stated that the passengers needed to be in a seat in order for that, in order to be riding that vehicle. But the operator doesn't get a seat. The operator has to stand in a moving vehicle at all times, all day long, operating that vehicle, right? So these are the challenges that are coming along with this new technology and with the new jobs that are coming along with it. So here's a couple of more examples. Indian Nation Council of Governments in Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's expected to launch next year. It's funded by the US DOE. The tech partner is Perone Robotics. Again, $50,000 is cheaper than a bus driver. And the safety operators are anticipated to be local 892 members employed by Tulsa Transit. Shreveport, Louisiana, this project is really taking off. They got a workforce development grant and they're developing a training curriculum for safety operators, which is good. Their tech partner is May Mobility, so we already have an established relationship with May Mobility out in Contra Costa County, California. This is going to be done by Local 558, and it includes a planning for possible future deployment of automated microtransit, right? So here are some of the limiting factors that are preventing this from really taking off as fast as it is in other places. Supply chain bottlenecks, right? There's a lack of manufacturing capacity. This is due primarily to COVID and the aftermath and lingering effects of COVID. Federal regulation, the federal safety standards, but we see that they have lobbyists out there who are trying to change all of these rules. Buy America is probably the biggest obstacle, right? Because in order to get that federal funding, they have this Buy America, requirement that you can only buy, equipment that's been manufactured. 70% of the components, cost, and final assembly has to be in the United States. But there are companies who are now building factories in the United States, and the lobbyists are actively lobbying to get waivers to use federal funding for this technology in the US. And those efforts are gaining traction. They can't yet offset the cost, right? It's still it's expensive technology to operate, but you got players like Google and Amazon who got deep pockets and plenty of money, and they are the ones who are plowing ahead and really advancing in this technology. The electrical grid limitations, there are some when it comes to these vehicles being electric. I can tell you that the main mobility vehicles are hybrid vehicles, so they are combustion internal combustion engines with a hybrid battery cell component. And the operational inability. Some of this technology is not as ready for prime time as others, right? But don't let that fool you, because companies like Waymo and Zoox, who have these deep pockets and who have this advanced technology, they are growing right under our nose. And it's not going to be long before that technology starts to translate over into our industry. The smaller vehicles are already infiltrating our industry, and the big vehicles are being tested with success in certain locations in the United States, right? And the public perception, are these vehicles safe? People aren't necessarily sure, but I can tell you again from my own personal experience in riding in that Waymo, it felt it was creepy to get in, but after about 3 minutes, it wasn't creepy anymore. And anybody who takes the opportunity to ride in one of those vehicles, I'm pretty sure would feel the same way. And that is going to help to build consumer confidence in the technology, right? So now what do we do about it, right? This technology, it's coming. It's already here. And what do we want to accomplish, and how do we plan on accomplishing it, right? While nothing is inevitable, we got to make sure that we act. The AVs are coming, but their impact on us is not predetermined. We know what they want the impact to be, but we have the ability to be the masters of our own destiny and get out in front of this. As long as we stay out in front of it and stay part of the conversation and don't fall asleep at the wheel. The new technology can be shaped that it empowers workers, that makes our drivers, makes our jobs safer, like that assisted driving technology that we have in our vehicles right now. That I'm sure a lot of people who are on this, who are watching this today, have this technology and kind of like it. It's helpful. It's good. It's good. We like it. So, that's something to be considered as well. But the worker voices must be represented at all stages of development and implementation. We got to get out in front of this stuff. We must be proactive in confronting these issues, because nobody is going to do it for us. There's a lot of money and a lot of energy that is out there selling this technology. And we have to go out there ourselves and advocate for ourselves and our jobs and our future. Look, in a perfect world, we would be able to prohibit the introduction, testing, development, or deployment of autonomous vehicles and other artificial intelligence related technology. We would be able to prohibit our employers' assets from being used for anything related to AV, right? Or we would be able to prohibit data collection and subsequent use. Imagine this, you are the autonomous vehicle operator out there, and you're operating this vehicle, and that vehicle is using you to learn, right? So the information you as an individual are providing your proprietary information to this technology to teach it how to drive. Yet this technology is putting money in somebody else's pocket. Your work, your expertise is being used to pay somebody else and develop somebody else's technology and get them to make money off of it. If they are monetizing this, what is our value? What's the value of our contribution to this, right? It's our work, it's our effort, it's our labor that is being used to develop this technology. But we know that that might not always be possible, right? This is a perfect world kind of thing. So we got to start thinking big picture. And the ITF, which is the International Transport Workers Federation, they implemented the Technology and Decent Work Charter. We are tackling this issue globally. Negotiation and worker-centric co-design. We are making sure that we are part of the process from notice to ongoing consultation and negotiation. Risk and labor impact assessments, taking a look at what the impact of the technology is going to be on the workforce and how do we mitigate that and how do we transition those people into good paying transportation jobs, right? And transparency and control of workers' data, what I just mentioned, that data is ours and we should be able to control our own data, right? And clarity over liability and responsibilities. If I am an autonomous vehicle and that operator, or I am in that autonomous vehicle and that technology fails, who's responsible? Am I responsible? Is the vehicle responsible? Am I going to lose my job because this technology didn't work? Do I have to hover my hands over the wheel to make sure that that vehicle is going to do what it's supposed to? How much time do I have to determine whether or not that vehicle is going to do what it's supposed to? How much time do I have between the time that vehicle fails before I become responsible, if it's my responsibility to take over for that vehicle? These are the things that we need to be thinking about as we move into the future, right? Human points of contact and ultimate human control. There are things that we bring to the job that technology just cannot, right? Humans retain the authority to enact changes and make necessary decisions. We make those decisions, and we make those decisions often without thinking, right? It's our natural instinct, our natural reaction. That's why we are the professionals that we are. Redress, retraining, and compensation, making sure that we're trained for those jobs of the future and sharing the benefits of the technology, right? Reduce the amount of time that we're working without reducing pay. If this technology is going to advance, the driver experience, it means we shouldn't have to work as hard. But that doesn't mean that we should be paid any less. But all indications are pointing to that we're going to have to work harder. And if we don't advocate for ourselves, we could wind up being paid less, right? And then now we have to turn all of that stuff into contract language. And safety is always a good argument, right? We have to make sure that we have licensed bargaining unit operators on all autonomous vehicles, that the workstations allow in-vehicle operators to control the autonomous vehicles, not with a joystick. Put a steering wheel in there. Liability for protections for operators if the technology fails. Employer provided comprehensive training for all operations and maintenance tasks. Explanation of all vehicle capabilities and limitations. We need to know exactly what this vehicle can and cannot do, right? Define, broaden, and protect bargaining unit work. No reduction of bargaining unit positions, pay, or layoffs, right? Premium pay for work on autonomous vehicles. New work arising from new technology remains in the bargaining unit. There are going to be new jobs that are going to be created by the introduction of this technology, and we need to make sure that those jobs are good paying union jobs as well, right? And make sure that the employers provide the upskilling or retraining for all of this new work. And the other considerations are advanced notice and explanation of the technological change, right? You got to let us know an expansive definition of artificial intelligence, automation, machines, computers, robots, software, everything and anything that we could never before have previously imagined, we have to start thinking about now. We really have to start thinking about, we have technology language in our collective bargaining agreements that allow the companies to deploy new technology, and we have language as to how that technology can be used, like phishing language for cameras and stuff like that. And that language is good, and it was negotiated at a time when that was the technology we were worried about, right? But that language was negotiated at a time that the current technology did not exist. Nor did we think that the technology that we are dealing with today would have existed when we negotiated that language. So we can no longer afford to be short-sighted or only look at what's happening today. We have to look at what's happening today. How do we address this? And how do we address what could happen tomorrow? Because who knows what's going to happen tomorrow, right? They have to disclose everything to us. They have to tell us everything about the system. There can't be such a thing as proprietary information. We have to know how this technology works and how do we override it? How do we fix it, right? We have to have all of this information. And it's got to be ongoing, because as the technology changes, these conversations need to continue with us. We need to have a seat at that table. We need to bargain worker-centered co-design, risk assessments, operational analysis, and access to data gathered or evaluated by artificial intelligence or autonomous systems. We have to know all of it. And no privatization of contracting out, which is the worst. If you want to take public dollars and use it for this, then do it yourself. Don't contract the trans devs, the VIAs, the RATP devs, the MVs, and the other private companies that are out there to do this technology. Do it yourself, because nobody does transit better than transit, right? So that's the end of the presentation that I have. The one thing that I want to stress here that we don't address in this presentation is rail. This is happening very, very quickly in rail, a lot faster in rail than it is on the road. And the problem with rail is that it's easier to do. And there are a lot of examples all over the world where this actually works, and it works well. We have Paris, Santiago, Chile, are two examples of places where they have implemented this technology in rail, and they have done it very, very well. In the city of Paris, they have begun to retrofit previously existing routes to be automated without impacting service. So they are able to automate these existing systems and not disrupt service. And rail is easier because it's on a closed course. So there's while rail does have interactions with workers on the tracks and things like that, it's not dealing with the cross traffic and the pedestrian traffic that we're dealing with out on the road, and which makes rail a lot easier and a better example to point to when they point to automation. So not necessarily trying to scare anybody, but the fact of the matter is, I've seen this technology with my own eyes. I have been behind the wheel of this technology myself. I have been all over the country, observing this technology and talking to the players in the game. And I absolutely realize firsthand how quickly this is coming, how dangerous this is to our livelihoods, and how important it is that we get out in front of it as quickly as possible to make sure that we preserve the good paying jobs that we have had for our entire lives and that have made families and careers out of. Ray, that's all I got. I hope that was good enough for you, brother.
Good
Hey,
job, John.
I appreciate it. And I should have did this at the beginning. And I know that we're going to be playing this, John. We recorded it, man. I greatly appreciate you coming on and doing this. I can't see who's all on here because you have your stuff up, but for everybody that is
You
on,
got screen. Slide to the left, to the slide over. You'd probably be able to see everybody there.
okay, so for all of the people, the organizers and everybody that's on, can you introduce yourself real quick to the people out there so that they'll know? Because again, we're going to be showing this. And I see some people are asking for copies of the slide in some of the chats. We'll have it and we'll play it again we'll leave it posted up on our Facebook page for the next few weeks. And John, I know that, although we didn't get a lot of people tonight, we're going to get a bunch of questions over the next few weeks over it. So when we get to the convention, then I start pulling your shirts here. Man, and I appreciate everything you do and how you come when we ask you to at 689.
Anything for 689, always.
Yeah. So I'm gonna let them introduce themselves. I can't see y'all on the screen, but just go one at a time. Go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Barry Wilson. I'm the recording secretary of Local 689.
Bruce.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ramon Bruce, first vice president.
This on. What about Bullock? Okay.
I think Keith and Theus were on earlier, Ray. They might have lost signal or something.
All right.
Yeah, just Glenn, Dion, Capels, y'all go ahead in.
You just introduce yourself and so we can let John go.
Maurice Womack, safety officer.
John Gaines, Phil, assistant to the business agent for bus.
Deion Baker, ABA for real.
Darren Jackson, assistant business agent for bus operations.
James Sia Campbell, assistant business agent for station managers.
Glenn Miller, assistant business agent for maintenance and construction.
Jennifer Chase. Oh, go ahead, Leah.
Leah Anderson, assistant business agent for maintenance and construction.
Jennifer Chase, assistant business agent for OHA and Montgomery Bus Division.
Wood, Wood introduce herself? Okay, so I guess John, listen again, man. I can't thank you enough. I don't see a whole lot of questions, but when we get them, I'll let you know. And if you can respond to them, we'll post the answers, to the questions on our Facebook page so they can see it again, man. Thank you. I appreciate you coming out.
Anytime, Ray, you know that.
Man, job well done,
Thanks, brother.
Thank you.
I hope my members get it and get involved and see how serious this stuff is. I do know too that Mike Goulash had are we trying to unionize the companies that are developing this technology? I guess on the international level, are you all trying to unionize the companies that are developing this technology, John?
So We are to some extent, not necessarily the companies that are developing the technology because they're tech companies, right? It's in the places where they are introducing where they're introducing the technology. Because a lot of these people are just software engineers and and they're developing this technology and then they're selling the technology to agencies. So we are following the technology where it goes. Jacksonville is the perfect example where they deployed this technology in an area where it's our work and we are actively pursuing that work. And then you take a look at again in Contra Costa County with Local 1605, that those are our members doing that work. And in Rossmore, that's with Local 1277, those are our members doing that work as well. So Shreveport is another place where we're making sure that it's our members that are doing that work.
And I see Mike also made, I guess he made a statement when the train started in DC. We went from a situation where 10 drivers carried 800 people downtown to one train operator. I guess he's saying carrying 800 people. Maintenance jobs, which paid more, picked up the slack. So we did, I remember over the years, maintenance wasn't as big as it is now. But as we started going with more trains, maintenance grew. It grew because we had more trains, so you had to have more track people. More wayside people. But Mike, that's good information. I appreciate that. But John, I'm gonna let you go, man. I know we had said 8:30. We're a little past that. Man,
I'm good, brother.
I can't thank you enough.
No, anytime, man.
Guess I'll see you Saturday.
Yeah, I'll see you Saturday.
All right.
Take care, everybody.
All right, John. All right, John. Have a good one.
Thanks.
See you Saturday.
All right. Now, I
Thanks,
know
John.
Good job.
Thank you.
Bye, sir.
some of y'all was not in Orlando when we saw this, and I can tell you that he had to shrink it down. Y'all got to get out there, man, and talk to these members. I mean, it should have been way more people on here than what's on here, especially on the Facebook live feed. They'll follow Facebook for everything else, but won't follow it when it's something important. So I'm gonna ask y'all when y'all get back out in the field for the next couple of days. I know we got to get ready for the convention. Y'all, please go out in the field, man. Put this out there. Post it up on your pages, and tell them people take the time and just watch it, right? And if that don't move them, I don't know what else to do. Because that man just showed you a young lady operating a bus, standing up all day with a joystick on it. He told you his experiences with trains in other countries running by themselves. I'm done. I'm gonna get off my soapbox, and I'll see y'all.
Quick question for some of y'all, us as the officers. Was that like a reality check? Like, how did that feel? Just to actually, you hear about it, but just to see where they at throughout the country. Some of them states are even closer than others. But I saw it at the last convention, and this is why, and this is a prime example, because we see things like this at a convention and we bring the information to our members. It was good that we was able to have John Lyons on here. Hopefully to have a third party other than us that's bringing it here would actually, grasp the attention and have more attentive to wanting to be subjected to listen to what's coming our way. But did it do anything for you guys on here? 'Cause actually for me, just to see it again, it just, kind of did what it did to me the first time at the conference, where it was like, wow, that's crazy. Because some of us been here 20 plus years, didn't even think that this would be here.
Yeah, it was an eye opener for me. I mean, we hear about it, we see it, but to see it on a scale is like a eye opener. We have a lot of people that don't believe that it can happen in our neck of the woods. I guess because we've been doing this work for so long, but it's coming and it's coming faster than the 5 to 10 years that I guess that they originally stated, and it's and they got the money to support it. So it's a real eye opener. I think that we all going to get out in the field and be able to educate the members a little bit more clear now.
Yeah, I want to add something about the lid. I ain't know how to raise my hand, but I see her, so.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Lee.
No, so at the conference, it was definitely an eye opener to me. But I was telling Ray, and I think he mentioned it at the Tuesday night union meeting, but I don't think he said anything Wednesday morning. But when I was in Texas last week and I was watching the news, and it really became real to me because they were talking about how they have autonomous 18 wheelers, and they were um
Wow.
talking about doing a contract to purchase more to do overnight freight running, and it's happening. Like it really, and I was like, wow. And when I came back and I saw Ray Monday morning, when I got to the hall, I was like, Ray, this autonomous vehicle thing, this is real. It was on the news when I was in Texas. They got autonomous 18 wheelers like at night. This is crazy. And he was like, Charlie, that's that's what they doing. They gotta get with it. And I was like, so it's happening. And I don't know what we waiting for, but it's happening.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Leah.
I think there's some people, right? The easiest way, if you're scared, the easiest way not to fight is to say that the fight not coming. And I think that's what we're getting, you know. And maybe some people just didn't want to hear the truth. But I tell you this, as long as you're ignoring the truth and not preparing, it's going to be easy to take you. It's going to be easy for them to conquer 689 and all the rest of the people who do what we do. I mean, this man showed you a buses and cars, and especially metro access vehicles. And I even with the metro access part of it, I'm thinking, I bet that door-to-door operation go away then, because it's not going to be anybody in the vehicle to go walk them people from their house to the van. I bet that go away. Or for the people who can walk themselves from the house to the van, man, listen, we got some work to do.
All right, Fab.
So for me, it was a couple pieces. I think everybody kind of touched on it. When I watched that 60-minute episode about the Waymo vehicles in California, it was the neighborhoods in the city, the council who was pushing back on it because the cars kind of like bugs, or however you want to say it. The lights, the sounds, when they don't have anybody that they picking up, they park themselves in, sporadic areas throughout the city. And at certain times of the night, they had like this glitching where they was making all this noise and the lights, and it was keeping people up. So they was pushing back on that. And when they showed the lot that they were housing all the cars, the thing that stuck out to me was they had two African American young guys backing the vehicles out. So even though they're autonomous and they could drive themselves, they needed somebody to back them out. Then when I saw in Texas where Elon Musk had autonomous cabs for $4.20, and it was the pun on the 420. Again, he had made, I think, like $18 billion on the rollout. So everything that John said in Orlando really kind of struck a chord, and Ray said it in the airport the next day. With me being a bus operator, how much are they going to pay me to operate that bus, right? So all of this is real. Driving down the street myself, I know you, Speed, and Ray, y'all travel a lot more than me, and said y'all seen these cars and buses in action. But when I'm riding past a Tesla driver, he's on his phone, and he looking at me, staring at me while I'm driving, I knew this was going to be a real thing. So it's like anything else, and I'll say this in closing. When we used to watch the Jetsons and they used to drop little pills in the microwave and blow up to big dinners, and you watch the Fifth Element, everything that they talk about as it relates to technology is coming soon. Because look at us now. We get to talk to each other. I'm sure John and another part of us talk to each other. So hey, listen, in solidarity we stand. We got to come together and fight. Thanks for my time.
Jetsons, Total Recall.
Hold on one second, folks.
Yeah.
So listen, I think we got a staff meeting tomorrow. We continue this then. Jack, you still on vacation, man?
No, I've been back for a couple of days, Ray.
Yeah, that's how they working me, Jack. I don't even know. I hope you had a good time. Listen, I'll see y'all tomorrow, man. I'm gonna try and get out this office.
Y'all take it easy. See y'all tomorrow.
Everybody have a good day.
Good night.
Thanks, Ben. Good job.
Right. Thanks everyone for attending. Please contact the hall if you have more questions. And again, we'll be posting this information on Facebook.
Yeah.
You all have a great night.
I was. Nah, we mean how was